Bob Kravitz, Indianapolis Star. Is this about rebounding, rebounding, and rebounding?
I think so, but it's also about not fouling because they average so many free throw attempts, and there's no question when you watch them on film that they do a great job of creating contact. When you talk about being relentless on the backboards, we can talk about that with teams in our league, and when we start to look at Michigan State and Purdue and people of that nature, Ohio State, then they take a backseat to nobody on that. I mean, they are sending 3 or 4 every time, and I think that's where they get a lot of their fouls is on second chance. So their baskets off of offensive rebounds and their free throw attempts off of offensive rebounds have got to be as high as anybody we've seen. So verticality and making sure that our positioning is right, all those things are crucial, and the rebounding and the fouling kind of go hand in hand.
Coach Ken Bykoff from Inside Indiana. Now that they're out here in the building and getting ready to practice on the court, how do you keep them from getting blinded by the glitter of the NCAA tournament and just focus on the next game? Well,
I don't know if you spend a lot of time thinking about that. The best thing we did is get out here on Monday night and practiced at home. Got here Monday. We had all day yesterday. We've been in the gym today, but we're gonna get up and down the court a little bit today. So it's not just going to be go out and shoot a couple of shots. So I'm not real worried about that. These guys are honored to be here. I mean, and you can see it. There's nobody that's feels like they've arrived or that they're just happy to be here. There's nobody that's taken it lightly. And I think that's the way that this team has evolved over a period of time. I mean, they know what they've earned. Now, they don't know what they're getting into, but the more we spend talking about that, the more distracted they could be. And these guys have been great at understanding the atmosphere and the environment all year long, and they've grown up watching the tournament. So if we spend a lot of time talking about all the what ifs, we'll get away from what has to happen.
Kevin Bowen, Indiana Daily student. Can you kind of talk about Wendell McKinnis a little bit? Your players talked about how he's similar to Green, Draymond Green. Is he also similar maybe to Dominique Sutton, a guy that you saw later in the year, kind of two guys that definitely go after the glass?
Well, that's a good preparation because when that game moved and we started to look at how their season was evolving, we were really able to talk about that. Every team you face this time of year when you get into the tournament, they're more than likely going to have a pro. And I don't think Wendell McKinnis takes a backseat to anyone. I mean, he's one of the better undersized but also undervalued forwards probably in the country. And he can score. He can shoot the ball. When you look at his numbers over a 4-year period of time, incredible the rise that he has made statistically. So you can tell that he's a hard worker. And he's somebody you have to account for him every possession. Because I think what happens is when you lose a step on him, it's over. Whether it's a rebound, whether it's a drive to the rim, whether it's a post-up. But they're, again, like so many other really good teams, they're far from just being, a one-person dominant team. I mean, when you've got a team that gets 30 free throw attempts a game, you've got an aggressive, relentless team. And the way that they rebound and defend. And what's impressive about them is they really look, they've got, I don't know their players, but they have really good togetherness on the court. And it looks like they've got really solid leadership on that court. And I would bet Wendell McKinnis has got a lot to do with that.
Hey, Coach. Paul Cicala from ABC7, Las Cruces, El Paso, Juarez. 3 out of 5 returning starters from 2 years ago played in the NCAA tournament for New Mexico State, and they took Michigan State to the last seconds. Are you concerned at all about some of that NCAA experience that those 3 particular senior starters have?
Well, I'm sure that factors in, but we're far more concerned about the team that they have right now, and especially the way they played this past weekend. And they're averaging over 17 offensive rebounds alone just this past weekend. I mean, they're a really, really good team. Marvin Menzies is an excellent coach, and he's always had great respect. He's also always been, it didn't matter what coast you're on, people know who Marvin Menzies is. And when you look at that team, you see a lot of improvement. I'm sure all those players from a couple of years ago are better, obviously. And we haven't spent a lot of time. I've looked at that box score, but we haven't spent a lot of time going back and looking at anything that far away because I think this team is really good. But we can't do anything about the lack of experience that we have in the tournament. I mean, there's no way around it. So what we have to do is we've got to go up there and go out and take advantage of the 33 games of experience that we have this year and do the very best we can with that.
Over here and then down in front. Jason Groves with the Las Cruces Sun News. Coach, you talked about the offensive rebound and free throw attempts, but can you compare them to a team that relies so much on those two? I mean, they're not a great three-point shooting team. I mean, it seems like offensively they do two things really well. Talk about, I guess.
No, I think they do more than that. I think those are numbers that stand out with bright neon lights. Okay, those are, but I think they're a very good three-point shooting team. Now they don't have a lot of guys maybe that attempt them, but they come off the bench and they shoot the ball very well, and McInnes and LaRose shoot the ball very well. So we're looking at that entire team, and starting Sunday night, and we've just been hammering away, and our players have done an excellent job of trying to absorb all of it, especially since Monday. And we know we're playing a really good team. Who they've played, what conference, what seed, none of that has anything to do with how good that team is that we're getting ready to see tomorrow. So we know what they're capable of, and the thing that they're very good defensively. They make it very hard for you to score. This team is bigger, in my mind, without seeing them in person. I mean, they're probably bigger than 50, 60% of the Big Ten teams that we see. So, I mean, they've got a big, solid team. I mean, I've got two brother-in-laws in the NFL that would probably have a lot of interest in watching these guys with the size of body and the speed that they have. So they look like they're full of tight ends and defensive ends when you look at them. I mean, they're a big team. So we're more concerned about that than just the two major aspects of their team, because I don't think you get 26 wins by just having a couple of things that you're good at.
Coach, you talked about staying out of foul trouble. Is there one game that you played earlier this year, one or two games that you point to and say, guys, we need you to play like you did here?
No, it's more about I think those things make them overthink. It's really about positioning and technique and awareness. Those three aspects are huge, and they've got to go together. So this is a team, again, Michigan State is a team where when Draymond Green has it or when the shot goes up, you have to account for everybody on the court. Not all teams are like that. But New Mexico State is like that. You have to account for everyone. And the plus minus of when Mullings is in the game, I mean, alone right there is strong. And here's a guy that maybe doesn't take a ton of shots. And you look at him, and maybe his numbers don't stand out maybe as much as some of the other ones. But when you watch him play and you see the aggressiveness of him and the way that he drives it and the way that he gets to the backboard, you know that you've got to do a phenomenal job of keeping him off. So to me, I don't know if we can go back to games. I think there's a lot of games that give you the experience and the belief and the knowledge once you get into the game. But this is a game where, again, the positioning, the technique, and the awareness got to be outstanding.
Chris Anderson, Portland Tribune. Coach, how does this road trip differ from others? I mean, I know it's the NCAA tournament, but I kind of want to just hear from you, how it differs and what challenges it poses to a coach to keep your team focused.
Well, I think first off, we don't leave Monday for Thursday games, but we also don't have to travel as far as we did. So we're on spring break. So I mean, if we were still in school, we may not have left as early. We'd have stayed in school another day, But for this team right now, I mean, they've been great. They're mature. They've had a great opportunity to see Portland some, to do a couple different things. They went to a movie last night. But again, it's been a pretty good dose of work as well. And as a coach, I don't mind the rain. They might mind the rain. I like the rain. Keeps them in, and they want to. We can get into the film room a little bit more. What have we done? Well, we're staying downtown. We got a great location at the 9, so they can move around down there. They've gone out to eat different places. They went to Active Valor last night. And then we'll pretty much shut it down after they eat tonight. But we've let them have an opportunity just kind of explore. But at the same time, they're getting a lot of rest. So it's fun to sit in the front of the bus and listen to them in the back of the bus. I may not know everything that they're saying, but that laughter is universal. And those are the things that you really enjoy, being a part of. And I think when it's all said and done, they'll remember where they went. They'll have experiences to think about, but it's the lasting shared memories of something somebody said that was silly in the back of the bus or silly at breakfast. That's the stuff that really builds them, I think, when they come back years from now and reminisce about their time. And it's all part of that.
Coach, have you told Cody or your other interior guys anything differently from this game in terms of trying to stay out of foul trouble?
Well, again, it's about positioning, technique, and awareness, and we talk about those things all the time. But we've got to have great verticality. I mean, they create contact. They jump into you, and we've got to have. This is not a situation where we can get into a wrestling contest. I mean, that's not what we're looking for. And when you're coming from the Big Ten, and you have to adjust to different types of officiating in the sense of, is it going to be called close? Is it going to be called tight? Players make those adjustments pretty quick. And we come from a great league that has got excellent officials, so these guys have had to adjust all year long. But no, we're not going to spend a lot of time putting doubts in their head. And it's not about don't foul, okay? It's a lot more about move your feet, have verticality, be in position. Those are the things. We're not trying to create negatives and turn them into doubts. We're trying to create positives by giving great reminders.
Coach, I know that he can't play, but what role has Verdell played over the past couple of days, and what role do you want him to play tomorrow?
Well, he's been unhealthy today. He's been really under the weather, so we haven't seen much of him today, but his attitude has been great. And we didn't practice in Indianapolis. We walked through after the Penn State game, and then we just did a little bit on Sunday. And it was yesterday and a little bit of Monday, but definitely yesterday, you could really realize he wasn't out there. And he's got a presence. We've always known, what he was capable of, and especially the things that he's done this year, the way that he's played. But we miss him. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, he's a stabilizing force. He's grown up so much as a player and was playing such excellent defense. He had a 7-rebound game at Minnesota. I mean, those are paramount things, especially when you're playing a team like this tomorrow. But in answer to your question, he's done a great job with the team. His spirits are excellent. I'm sure not so good today when he's not feeling good, but I think he'll be really good for Remy. He's been an excellent teammate. I haven't seen that change one bit, and I think these guys have done a fantastic job of just being his friend, being his teammate. I mean, there's nothing different. He's just sitting on the side right now, but he's taking it in. And I was even asking him questions on Friday, about the game, even like he was playing. And I've done that a couple of times in practice, and I plan to do it tomorrow. But these guys, they have a great bond. And I think most teams that get to this time of year, they really have that. And our guys really don't take a backseat to anybody on that. And especially everything that everybody's been through and how roles have changed in our program. And those that cover us know they've really changed and they've grown. To have the team be that close just says so much about the quality of the people in the program, the quality of the players. And that, as a coach, it's just an awesome feeling to have that. Yeah, we've already done that. Yeah, we've taken care of that. Yeah, we were born at night, not last night. We got that. We're moving in that direction. We can't afford anybody else down. I know that.
Hey, Coach, Travis Demers, Sirius XM College Sports Nation. In your tenure at Indiana, the road hasn't exactly been kind to you guys, but you seem to finally get that under control towards the end of the season. How much of that over the last few years has been mental, and now that you're playing about as far away from home as you possibly can be, is that a roadblock that you guys are over?
Well, we've actually started out the season with 2 road wins at Evansville and North Carolina State. So there's been some up and down. We're 500 this year away from home, which is, in respect to maybe some of the better teams in the country, it's not as good. But in respect to where we've been the last 3 years, it's tremendous. So, again, it's like anything else. These guys continue to be a product of their experiences. I think everybody's getting adjusted. And again, I think coming out Monday was good for this team to get adjusted. I don't sense any cabin fever or anything like that. They're doing things, and we're trying to occupy time and at the same time give them a lot of free time. So we've just really stayed focused on getting ready to play another really good team. We're just coming off some neutral games, just like New Mexico State is, where they played in Las Vegas this past weekend. So, they've got maybe the advantage in that they don't have to deal much with the time change and the location, or just being in a different locale in the sense of where they're at in the country. But I mean, tomorrow night, it's not really going to make a difference. I mean, it's who adjusts, who makes the fewest mistakes, who follows the game plan the best, who pays attention to the details. All those things are going to be what determines who the winner is.
Earlier this week, Coach Menzies mentioned that their team's size and athleticism is better than a typical mid-major team, but not compared to a high major team. As you look at, you know, some of the teams in these bigger conference, how does New Mexico State's size and athleticism compare?
Well, first off, it's not about the conferences and it's not about the mid-major, high major anymore. Like we told our team on Sunday, congratulations on 25-8. And this was about 4 o'clock. You got 2 more hours of that. After this, everybody's in the same box. They're in the same room. And it's not just about being 0-0. It's who can take advantage of their experiences the best. I think New Mexico State has done a great job just from really studying them the last few days. They don't take possessions off. They do not take opportunities to rebound off. They don't take opportunities to run the court off of a turnover or a rebound off. They move the ball. They've got some go-to guys and everybody knows it. And I think they're a big team. I mean, I haven't broken it down to the size and weight, but I would put them for sure in the upper half, well into the upper half of size, strength, you know, body types of what we would face in the Big Ten or maybe any other power conference. So there's nothing, quote unquote, mid-major that you see with them. They've got star power. They've got guys that understand their roles, and they've got a team of what looks like really high-level, tough guys. And I know their coach is really, really good.
Have time for 1 or 2 more questions?
Coach, after the Kentucky game, you guys were getting a ton of attention nationally, and after a little rough stretch where you guys were losing some really close games in conference play, some of the national media kind of forgot about you and overlooked you a little bit. Is there any part of you guys that are thinking about that role that maybe you're being overlooked a little bit, and is any of that motivation at all?
I'm sure it is because it's been that way the whole year. I think you can go back to the beginning of the year. It wasn't like anybody picked us to be here, let alone a 4th seed, let alone win 25 games. I mean, that's just I don't think outside expectations drive us one way or the other. I think what their expectations for themselves are, and they're like anybody else, when they're doubted, when they're criticized, I'm sure they're going to take that to heart. We don't spend a lot of time on that. We have our times where we'll throw that out there. We have our times where somebody will say something and we'll use it. But this team right now, they're at a place where they've just got to understand what makes them successful. And anything that's said in a good way, anything that's said in a bad way, that's going to have absolutely nothing to do with it tomorrow night at 6:40, 6:45, whatever time we tip.